Welcome back, Deep Review TV viewers. Chris Nichols here for part 3 of our How to YouTube series. Today, we're going to discuss to desk or not to desk. For that is the eternal question that we will cover in our YouTube series today. The fact is, depending on what field you're wanting to get into for your YouTube videos, you've probably seen a lot of people that might work from a more static home studio kind of environment versus a lot of other people who might do almost exclusively out in the field kind of work. And, they have their advantages and disadvantages either way. And honestly, most YouTubers will do a certain mix of both. But today we're going to talk about what's going to work best for your channel. Now, seeing as how we're starting at the desk today, let's talk about working in the home studio and the advantages that come with that. For me, it's really about consistent convenience. I mean, you don't have to worry about time of day or light levels, or you don't have to worry about inclement weather wrecking your shoot, and it really does let your schedule be more flexible, allowing you to work when and how you want to. Now, in that same convenience factor, what about all your equipment being right beside you? That's huge. You don't necessarily have to worry about forgetting to take that microphone or that battery not being charged. You have a lot of equipment handy with you, and that can really make things easy for you as well. Now, another great convenience factor working out of a studio is when it comes to pickups or having to redo things. And, for example, first off, Jordan and I are consummate professionals. We never screw anything up, right, Jordan?
No.
Yeah, not very convincing, because we do screw up things once in a while, and if we do mess up a fact or miss something that we wanted to mention, if we're out in the field, that means that maybe later on in the day or days from then, we have to go back out, I have to wear the same clothes, make sure my hair looks the same, right, and try to get those pickups, then come back and edit them back into the video, and it's very hard to make that look seamless. But if you're in the studio, it's very convenient, right? My clothes are all upstairs, the lighting is always consistent, the audio is always the same. If I'm doing any voiceover work, again, it's very easy to do in the studio. Now, this lens is 227 millimeters long, which is about 46 astronomical units. So this lens is 227 millimeters long, or 46.3 astronomical units. Now, 2 more positive points that I want to cover. If you're working in the studio and you're lucky enough, you might have a crew with you, but the studio environment does actually suit somebody who's working solo. And the last thing that I want to point out is a consistent branding. You'll see a lot of great YouTubers working in studios that will end up having a look in the environment, whether it be colors, things in the background, whatever, that give them that consistent, familiar brand. Now, of course, there are some disadvantages as well. I mean, if you're working out of your house, you're gonna have to set aside some space in your residence to do the studio setup, or maybe you'll rent a studio, but that's gonna really increase your upfront costs. And while we're on that topic, you might want to also consider then having to buy extra microphones, more cameras for different angles, studio lighting to make things look nice, and maybe decorating and renovating the space that you want to use. These can all get very expensive. If you put $0 into it, you might have something that looks more like our setup, and you probably don't want that. And of course, even if you want to work in the studio, it might not suit the topics that you're covering. Now, if I was reviewing laptops, or you're doing something like beauty tips or something, a studio environment might work great. But imagine if you were doing a fly fishing show or a travel show, or God forbid you had to do a photography show. Well, then you might find that always being at a desk is static and flat and doesn't really give you that dynamic thing that you're looking for. So let's now head out into the field and talk about that. And I'm just gonna have a refresher here. Isn't that better? We've got fresh air and wide open spaces, beautiful light out in nature. For us, this was a big part of our success, getting out into the field. You see, when Jordan and I started our show 10 years ago with the camera store, we started from the sales counter, just showing the cameras and talking about features and specs. But the show didn't really take off till we decided to take those cameras out into the field and actually use them, show how they can take photographs and what you can do with them outside. And that's really when our show started to build. The biggest advantage by far of getting into the outdoors is just how big it makes your show feel. It gives the viewers variety. You can be far more cinematic, play with things like beautiful natural light, and really make use of the open spaces. Jordan and I have also been fortunate enough to be able to travel a lot, and again, that just really takes your viewers along with you for the ride. And as we've discussed before, sometimes getting out in the field will be essential for the topics that you're trying to cover. There are, of course, some challenges to working outdoors. Audio can be very tricky. Although you can use ambient sounds like birds and water to your advantage, they can also be quite distracting if not handled properly. And of course, things like wind can be very difficult to deal with. You need the right equipment for that. We're constantly amazed how often airplanes go overhead and wreck our takes, or of course, noisy traffic in the background. These can all be challenges. Now, as magical as the light can make your video, it can also be a real problem. And we're in really contrasty light today, and you have to know where to position your subject or maybe do the legwork to move them to somewhere that's more appropriate. There's that noisy airplane I was talking about. And that all brings me to the final challenge I want to talk about working outdoors, and that is, if you're doing it by yourself solo, it can be very harrowing. I mean, Jordan and I have been a two-man crew for as long as we can remember, and even that has been very difficult. But you're not always going to have the luxury of having people to help you out. Now, there are people like Kai Wong, for example, who do an amazing job in a vlog style just by themselves, but it's a lot of effort. So if you can get people to help you out or start as a partnership, that can be a huge benefit. We hope this video helps you to anticipate some of the challenges you're going to face, whether you're going to shoot inside or go outside, or most likely a combination of the two. Hopefully this helps you answer a question of Shakespearean proportions. Please leave comments below if you have questions though. Check out our Instagram and our Twitter feeds. dpreview.com has a lot more information for you. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We've got other How to YouTube videos up already, and part 4 is coming soon. We'll see you then.